in show history on multiple levels. One, we're recording this at midnight your time, well past your bedtime. And then two, this is the first time I have not watched the games that are on the slate for us to talk about tonight. The first time. So unlike usual, I'm going to have to pass you the rock a lot tonight.
That's fine, man. So yeah, you had other duties tonight, obviously with the Nuggets playing, but I had the luxury of being able to sit around and watch a couple of games in their entirety today because it's a Sunday, and I didn't have much else going on. So that's rare for me to watch games like pretty much in real time. I don't get that opportunity very often. And there was some really interesting games in the league tonight, important ones too, very important games with what's going on with some of these races and these standings.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff. And people don't realize that, I'm the exact same way because I cover the Denver Nuggets as one of my many jobs. I usually am watching all these games like kind of quickly. I can get through a game in about an hour, maybe 45 minutes, depending on how the game goes. And I'm always watching them after the fact. So I get it, man. And I prefer it. What's funny is I prefer to watch it that way. I guess you do too, I'm guessing, because you can slow it down. You can go back. You don't have to listen. You can listen or you don't have to. You can take notes. So I'm guessing you prefer it that way too.
Yeah, it's definitely better to cut through. Listen, when you do this for a living and there's so many games you have to keep track of, it's the more stuff you can cut out, the better. Sometimes, there are certain things when you watch the condensed version, like on League Pass, like, you're only catching sometimes like the second half of possessions. And there are things that happen sometimes up the floor or whatever it may be that you want to talk about. So tonight was good, man, because I got to dive into these games. And the Houston Golden State game particularly was really, really eye-opening in a lot of ways and alarming, I think, a little bit if you're the Golden State Warriors.
For sure. We're going to start with that game, but later in the show, we're going to get to Lakers Thunder, Pacers Nuggets. Brunson made his return. Kings beat the Cavs. We might even talk a little Cooper Flag because that game was so wild. I know you were watching that one, but we're going to start. Our biggest deep dive will be on this Rockets win over the Warriors, 106-96. So I missed this one. I see the stat sheet, though, and I see Steph Curry, 3 points, 1 of 8 from 3. What stood out to you about this one, and what the heck happened to Steph?
All right, we'll start there. So he was averaging 42 points a game in his last 3. So he's coming in red hot. Houston is a very physical defensive team. They clearly, made him priority number one, as most teams try to. Very few teams can pull off what Houston did in this game. Now, I saw Steph against the Kings a few weeks ago, and I called out the Kings hard because they literally went to like almost this junk defense, sort of like a box and one face guard on the weak side of the floor. And Steph just said, you know what, go ahead. Well, I'm just going to let you guys come over here and stare at me. And we're going to play 4-on-3 on the weak side and pick you apart. And they did. That's not what this was. Now they blitzed them on ball screens. Okay. They blitzed them on ball screens, but the stuff off the ball was just good old fashioned hold and lock on everything he was trying to do to come get the ball. Like you see the numbers, 1 for 10. I mean, I'm telling you, Adam, 5 or 6 of those shots were just complete forces by Steph Curry from crazy distances just to get a shot off because he couldn't get the ball. He couldn't catch the ball. They had Amen Thompson, Dylan Brooks, even guys like Jalen Green and Fred VanVleet really bothered him. Tari Eason got turns on him. Jabari Smith would switch out and use his length against them. I've never seen Steph Curry defended better in any game than he just was in that game tonight. And it was so frustrating for him. You could see it. He was wearing it. And then he started to drive later in the game. He kicked the ball out of bounds, like on a drive. And he was so off his rhythm and off his game. It was really just glaring. Like watching this, like how in the world can a player this great be taken out of a game to this extent? But that's really what it was. Good old fashioned holding him, chasing him over every screen, getting a lot of help on ball screens and forcing him to give it up. But he could not shake anybody off the dribble, and he couldn't catch the ball off of any of their down screen action or dribble handoff action. He literally couldn't get his hands on the ball. And at one point he was kind of letting his teammates do it, and they were playing, and it was a close game, middle of the third quarter. Ultimately, they didn't have enough guys really step up offensively to carry the load on a night when he does that. So I was just really alarmed at what they just did to Steph Curry. Honestly, there's no other word for it.
Yeah. And he's the best. What you're talking about, off ball, chasing guys around, team system, because you got pin downs and you got cross screens and everything else. He's the hardest guy, I think, of all time to cover in the specific way you're talking about. So for the fact that they were able to pull it off, I'm guessing it's not just one guy. I mean, who drew the primary assignment? But I'm guessing this was just a team being locked in and understanding the defensive rotations, switches, and everything else that has to happen.
Everybody wants to play it this way. Very few teams have the discipline or the communication to do it. Like, and it was like, even Ime Udoka was like, just like his intensity on the sideline about Curry. In fact, I don't know if you caught this yet, but you'll see it tomorrow when you see the highlights and you read about this. Ime Udoka was barking at Curry leaving the court for halftime.
What?
So to where I don't know what he said.
Wait.
It didn't come out yet. I don't know if they asked Steph after the game what he said to him, or if they asked Udoka, but it was a messy end of the half. Draymond Green and Şengün got into it. They had to be separated. And then Draymond gets hit right at the start of the third quarter with a flagrant foul when he drills Şengün in the face with his elbow as he's going up to shoot at the rim, knocks him out. I thought Şengün definitely broke his nose. He laid on the ground, pounding his foot on the ground, covering his face. I didn't know what I was going to see when he took his hands off his face, but that was in the third quarter. But at halftime, Ime Udoka's walking off the court and he goes right by Steph Curry and just says a bunch of stuff to him. And Curry starts talking back. Ime Udoka turns. He's talking. He's backpedaling into the tunnel and he's still barking at Steph Curry. So He had his whole team up on their toes to such an extent about Curry. And it worked. That's the thing. Like Steph Curry usually has a response when you try to talk to him or get physical with him or you shut him down for a while and you start chirping to him. He's usually going to have a moment where he goes off for 8 to 10 minutes. It never happened, man. You see it, one field goal in the game. And it was really I just credit Houston's defense. They've got the personnel to do it. They had the commitment to do it. And they went into Golden State's home floor, man. And they absolutely sent a message to them of how it would be if they saw them again in a playoff series, because they manhandled them. They really did. An offensive glass, they were all over that. It was such a physical game, and I don't think Golden State had the answer for it. If the game is going to be played that way, officiated that way, Houston has a major advantage over them.
Well, and that very well could be our matchup. I mean, obviously Houston is solid right now. In fact, they